The campfire's crackling, season's heating up, and that means it is time for a new episode of Modern Flame presented by NBA Campfire. Let's fire it up!
Fire it up, folks. We got a big one today. We're recording here November 16th. It's hours before the anticipated Bears-Vikings matchup.
The black and blue division.
That's right. I was telling Sonny before we joined here, kind of hoping the Vikes lose. So that's where I am with my team this year in the NFL. But a team who has not been doing a lot of losing in the NBA, and that's our champs, the OKC Thunder. Potentially, maybe one of the more slept on, like, champs coming into the year. I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't worry about who's being covered in the media the most, but it just seems like this team never really gets the full credit that maybe they deserve. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, next week we're going to be covering our preseason predictions a month into the year. And it will be notable because neither one of us picked the Thunder to win the Western Conference. I had the Nuggets, you had the Rockets. I don't necessarily think that either of those teams, what we've seen from them so far, would make us feel bad about what we've predicted. It's more so just the fact that the Thunder have picked right up where they left off last year. It feels a little 2015-16 Warriors-ish to me.
Yeah.
Where the Warriors win 67 games in 2014-15. They win the title, but they kind of follow a similar path as the Thunder too, where the year before they get bounced in a hard-fought series. For Golden State, it was San Antonio. Or no, I'm sorry. San Antonio, then the Clippers for Golden State. And then they, evolve into a title team. For the Thunder, it was they lose to Dallas in round 2 in 2024. And then they win 68 and win a title. And going into that second season, it felt like the Warriors were a little undervalued. And then they come out and they win 24 in a row to start the season off. They end up going 73-9. Right now, the Thunder are 13-1. And I don't know, is it premature to start thinking about whether they could hit that 70 mark? I don't think it is. From everything that I've seen, it feels like we could have another kind of run at the record this year.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they had a run at the record last year, and I know that Chet was out a large portion of last year, and I think a lot of people pointed to why maybe they didn't, reach that 73 mark last year. But they're 13-1 this year, and they've had just a slew of injuries. Lou Dort's only played 8 games. Obviously, they're playing without their second best player on the roster. Jalen Williams has not played yet. And the thing that you said that they got right back to where they picked up, they got back to where they were last year. It including like just bringing random folks off the bench and just having them really flourish in their offense. Like AJ Mitchell, he's averaging 16 points a game. And I don't think that many people probably would have had that on their bingo cards this year. He was a second round pick out of UC Santa Barbara. He went to the Knicks and then came over to obviously the Thunder. But he was in the 2024 draft, and I don't really remember him all that much coming out of college. And he's fitting in
You weren't
perfectly.
you weren't grinding UC Santa Barbara
No,
games
no,
throughout the
I,
year.
I happened.
Weren't staying up late
Yeah, East
for what's
Coast.
that, Big West
Yeah,
basketball?
East Coast. That's the only reason why. But just the idea that it's like every year, every game, you don't know who's going to come in and who's going to, put their prints on the game, and it's always a winning culture. Um, I just feel like they have such a great foundation in their organization right now. They have this great young superstar who's quiet, who's seems really humbled, and Shea doesn't get the credit maybe that he deserves. Um, and you have
He's about to,
yeah, and
because we're gonna have a conversation that needs to be had.
absolutely.
Continue.
They have a super young coach who is 41 years old. He was started as a UConn manager under Jimmy Calhoun. Yep, go Huskies. Um, and then I think they have maybe one of the best GMs in all of sports. Uh, I just think that those three with a really strong culture with their fans. Like their fans love them. They always have. They've always adored that team. Um, it's like the best put together small market organization you could think of. I don't know how you can get any better than what OKC has. I think, like, I'm in Buffalo right now. They have Josh Allen, but then they also have a great head coach and a great GM, and those are the things that like you hear Bills fans obviously kind of complain about from time to time. And the Thunder have all three. Like they hit the trifecta.
I mean, not only hit the trifecta, but then, as you kind of alluded to, they hit the trifecta on the court as well because you have Jalen Williams,
Mm-hmm.
who is an all NBA caliber player. I feel like Chet has taken it up.
Oh, yeah.
He's made a mini leap this year, and if he gives them, something close to 70 games, he'll be flirting with all NBA, all defense. They've hit the trifecta on the court as well with that trio, all being aligned kind of on the same age timeline. And then everybody else that they just seem to throw out there. You know what it reminds me of? Remember in elementary school, like youth basketball, where we would play like city schools every once in a while,
Yeah.
and they'd have their starting five, and they'd just be awesome. And then like second quarter, the bench would come in and play, and there would just be no drop off from the starters to the bench, and it was just like, what the fuck? How do they have so many good players? That's what it is with the Thunder, because like you said, AJ Mitchell comes out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You have guys like Wiggins and Isaiah Joe who are they kind of fill that role too, where they could come off the bench and just give you 20 out of nowhere. We haven't even mentioned Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein yet.
Right.
We haven't
Carson Wallace.
mentioned Jason Wallace yet. Right, like that's 10 guys right there. They go 10 deep. They are the deepest and most talented team in the league, with maybe the best head coach in the league, with maybe the best GM in the league, with maybe the best home court advantage in the league. It's like we get to a certain point and it's like, well, what are we even doing here? Like,
Well, can I
again,
add something to that?
please do.
Guess who has the Clippers pick this year?
Yes.
Like
And a
the
top
Clippers are
eight
going to be in the
protected.
lottery.
They have a top eight. They have a top eight protected pick from somebody else too, because right now they have two picks in the lottery projected. They have the like second pick and the ninth pick in
Yep.
a stacked draft.
Yeah. Yep. No, you're right though. It is. It's like, they come in waves. And they have a lot that I feel like the thing that they just have benefited from is they have their core three guys solidified.
Hmm.
Jalen Williams, Chet, and Shea. They all are basically locked up. They've all been signed to deals. And then they have these role players around them that they drafted and they got such great value with them. They're going to be able to turn these guys into more picks and they're going to be able to keep kind of just going with this same sort of flow. Um, like they probably won't sign Lou Dort back,
Right.
but they'll just slide in a Case and Wallace, or they could trade a Case and Wallace in a Lou Dort package and get two picks, and they already have a bunch of picks, and they're just going to be able to keep young talent around those big three. And it's something that I'm not sure we've ever seen before. We've usually seen like a big three, and then let's fill out our roster with like proven vets who you could win with now. And this is like the opposite. It's like we have an embarrassment of riches in draft picks. So we'll just keep getting these high value draft picks to go along with these studs. And then when they get time to pay them, we'll trade them, we'll get more draft picks. And it's incredible.
I mean, yeah, depending on how high that Clippers pick ends up being.
Dude, what
Now
if they
all of a
get the Bansa?
sudden,
Like,
what's that?
what if they get like the Bansa? Like, what if they do?
No,
Like, what?
that's exactly what I was going to say. Depending on how high that pick ends up, it could be a sort of the 86 Celtics getting Len Bias.
Yeah,
Kind of, and God forbid nothing like that ever happens
yeah,
again. But like that's the position that Boston was in 1986 where they stumble into the second pick and get a guy who was probably going to be a sure thing and could have extended the careers of guys like Bird and McHale.
right.
And then he goes away, unfortunately, and just an all-time tragedy. But like that is the kind of position that Oklahoma City could find themselves in 7 months. And like you said, it
Yeah,
could be DeBansa, it could be the Kansas kid, Peterson. Like there are no shortage of potential all-stars in this upcoming draft. And if I mean, you just give them a top 5 pick, it who the hell knows where this goes. So I do though want to transition this conversation into the conversation that we need to have about Shea,
mhm.
um, who is 27 years old. He is the reigning regular season MVP, the reigning finals MVP, and he's averaging nearly 33 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6.5 assists with 53, 37, 90 shooting splits. He's probably like 10% better than he was last year when he won MVP. At what point do we need to start having the major historical conversation regarding SGA?
Right now. I mean,
Good, good.
right now.
That was
I,
my answer too. I'm glad you're on board.
I don't know if it's the style of play, like how he plays, where he's not already on this. I feel like if he was a high flying guy, like a John Morant,
Yep.
he would have been already at this stage. But with the numbers that he puts up and the way it goes to winning, like he doesn't have empty stats. He doesn't. It's all this winning culture. He's a great in clutch time. I think I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's already had a good amount of points in clutch time. he just makes winning play after winning play, and he's got that. I don't know how to really. He's got that winner mentality about him already that you just don't get at that. Where it's the end of the game. Yes, sometimes it's the end of the game. Um, you need a bucket. Everyone's comfortable going to, including him. From it, and you think he's going to win. Like, that's just how I look at him. It's almost like the Derek Jeter effect, where like Jeter goes up in the ninth inning, you think he's going to get a base knock. When Shea has the ball at the end of the game, I think he's going to score. I don't know how. He might go for the free throw line, but I think he's going to score. And it's just that's what I am amazed about, and why I think we need to have that conversation of historically how great is he, because his stats correlate to winning, and he's putting up amazing numbers.
Can we go over the numbers real quick? I have some interesting numbers here. So
Absolutely.
it's obviously early in his year 8 season, but I ran the numbers on his seasons 5 through 8, and he is at 31.5 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists per game. Using that same sample size, years 5 through 8, compared to Michael Jordan, Jordan was 31.9 points, 6.8 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 2.7 steals. Kobe, 27, 6, 5.5 assists. Wade, 27, 5, 6 assists. And Harden, 28, 6, and 8. He's having a run right now that is absolutely on par with maybe the 4 greatest shooting guards of the modern era. And now, we could say, okay, well, Shea's a point guard. He doesn't play like the typical point guard, and that's fine. It's not a knock on him. They don't need him to do that. What he is doing for the Thunder is exactly what they need him to be doing. Like you said, it all translates to winning. And the fact that he's putting up peak Michael Jordan numbers as all this is happening, we need to start having that conversation. We need to start measuring him against not just his peers in the NBA right now, and there are a lot of them. I mean, we're going to get to, some early all-star talk in a minute here. There are a ton of guys who are on a historic track for their careers, but we really need to be measuring him against Hall of Famers, because that is absolutely where he's heading. And he's already got the championship under his belt, so no one could do the whole, well, he hasn't won yet. He has. He has, and he was the best player on that team, bar none. Can we move over to the Eastern Conference?
Absolutely.
Talk some Detroit basketball.
Oh yeah, love it. Throwback.
The Detroit Pistons, 11-2.
Didn't see it coming. I guess I thought they were going to be solid. They had a nice jump last year, and I love Cade. I think Cade is very easily. I think he could be like the East Coast version of Luka. The way he plays, his body size. I don't think he's as good of a shooter, but he's more athletic and can get to the rim. But just the size and his passing, and the way he manipulates the ball screen, he's top notch, man. I loved him at Montverde. Was disappointed when he went to Oklahoma State, but I've been high on him. I wasn't expecting the start, because their team is a little oddly structured. They don't have a ton of spacing, but they're on a heater.
Yeah, they've won 9 in a row. Um, Kind of a weird statistical profile, which you just alluded to. They're 16th in offensive rating, so middle of the pack. They're second in defensive rating. That is where they're really proving to be elite. But they take the third fewest threes in the league. They're top 5 in offensive rebounds, total rebounds, steals, and blocks. So they're kind of. It's funny because they're kind of succeeding by an old school Pistons formula
Yeah.
for success. I don't know necessarily that they're modern bad boys just yet, but I do know that Beef Stew is going to do everything he can to get them there.
I was gonna
Um,
say, yeah, don't play with that boy from the Rock. He's about it.
shout
He's
out,
about it.
shout out Johnny Lexer, our cousin, who's a former
Yep.
teammate of Beef Stew, friend of the
Yep.
pod. Yeah, they just are crushing teams on the offensive glass. Um, Duran and Stewart together are averaging like 7 offensive rebounds per game. Um, they're just big and nasty, and they've got a guy in Cade who can handle that burden of being a number one scorer, facilitating the offense. If they keep winning at this rate and he's putting up the numbers that he is, which right now it's 27, 5, and almost 10 assists a game.
Yeah.
He's going to be in the MVP conversation at season's end. Duran is the guy that I'm really paying attention to because it seems like he's made a pretty significant leap from last year. He was like 12 and 10 last year. He's at 19 and 12 this year. Just a great pick and roll partner for Cade. Impossible to keep off the offensive glass. He just dunks everything in sight. I really like what he's giving them. I like the trajectory that he's on. And if he maintains this level of play alongside Cade and they could just cobble everything else together,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. They could be a little dangerous in the Eastern Conference, I think. I mean, they pushed the Knicks to about their limit last year in round 1. You could have made the case that there were a few games there that they should have beat the Knicks in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um, we need to see it probably a little bit longer, but a month from now, if Detroit's still at the top of the East, I think we need to, at that point, give them the credit that they're due.
Yeah, I mean, they just beat the crap out of you. Like
Yeah.
they're just so physical. Um, Duran and Stewart make it almost impossible to score. Um, I I think it's a little concerning that Stewart, I believe, is like I think he actually might lead them in 3-point field goal percentage. Um, so that's something to keep an eye out for. I know that he's I think he's in like the 40s, and right now I have Cade's at 28. Asar Thompson is shooting about 31%. Tobias is at 29%. Duncan Robinson's at 43%. Um, Oddly enough, Isaiah Stewart is shooting a little bit higher than that from three. Don't think that that's probably going to be something that you see throughout the year, but I think what you will see is just a team that is going to muck it up, make it almost impossible to score on. And then when you have a guy like Cade who could just completely control the offense and get you good shots, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs where the game gets more physical anyway. The refs let them play a little bit more. It's more of a half court style, so that's what they like to play in. I'm interested to see when Ivy comes back how he looks. He's obviously a high draft pick that's been injured the last couple of years, but he's expected to come back, and if he can get him some scoring, I really think that this team could do some things. I also think if he doesn't, this is a team that you could potentially see make a trade, or at least start to consider it. But I think I'm with you. I don't want them to do that. I want them to kind of hold their chips and let this young team see where it could go this year in the playoffs. One thing though that I've got to be honest, I haven't watched them enough to really get a full understanding of Duran. And I know that you said that you were keeping an eye on him. And as I watch him, it's like I can't get an ideal comparison, and I don't need one, but I like to kind of just to get an idea of where the Pistons' ceiling could be. When I watch him, it's almost like peak Andre Drummond, but I feel like there's more skill there. It's just, I mean, his physique is incredible. I mean, you just look at the guy and you're like, oh my goodness. He's got good ball skills. He's a freak on the glass. I guess I just don't know where his offensive ceiling is at this point.
What I wonder about him is if he could end up being 80% of Amari Stoudemire. If he could get to that point, I feel like then we can start taking Detroit a little more seriously.
I like that.
Size-wise, I would imagine that they're kind of comparable. Amari came in a little bit raw and really developed as like a fully formed offensive player really like later in his son's run. It was kind of more like after he came back from the microfracture surgery. That's when he developed a more consistent mid-range jumper. You could get him the ball and it could be 2 dribbles to the basket. He was just a little more like fully formed. If that is Duran's ceiling, like a 80% version of that, I think that's a win for Detroit, because he already has such good rapport with Cade and pick and rolls. Like, I had a stat here. He's making 81% of his shots out of pick and rolls with Cade.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I mean, just his field goal percentage alone, but it's almost 65%. So yeah, no, Amari is that makes me feel a little bit better. That makes me feel a little bit better, and I could agree. That's where his athleticism can take him.
And what I like about him too this year, just another minor note, doubled his free throw attempts per game from last year, and shooting 10% better from the line. It's early, but if he continues to be a guy who averages 6.5 free throw attempts per game and is making 80% of them, like that's easy points for a team that could struggle to score a little bit in the half court because they just don't have the space.
Absolutely. No, I'm just excited that Cade is on a winning team. I think he's a really good player. And be interested to keep an eye on the Pistons. I guess last thought on the Pistons before we go into a franchise that's not even close to where the Pistons are. What are your predictions? Let's say for the next month and a half. Do you see the Pistons continue on this upward trend, or do they hit a little bit of a stumble?
Well, what I like is that they've won their last 2, including a win over Philadelphia in the NBA Cup on Friday night, without like all of their starters. No Cade, no Duran, no Tobias Harris, no Thompson. And they beat Philadelphia. I don't think Embiid was playing, but they have Maxey, they have Edgecombe, they have Oubre. Just the fact that they were able to win with a skeleton crew. I thought that was encouraging. I'm going to pull up their schedule quick. I mean, it's pretty manageable. I think that a month from now, like if we're just talking like mid-December, where could they be at? I don't see why they couldn't still be
Right.
first in the East. And if that's the case, you know, I still think that just based on the talent and the track record, Cleveland and New York are still in that top tier. But I think it's very safe to say that right now, through almost a month of the season, Detroit is kind of on that next tier by themselves. If you want to give the Knicks and the Cavs the leg up because they're just more proven, that's fine. But I don't think that there's another team in the East right now that can reasonably provide a scare to either Cleveland or New York like Detroit
No.
potentially could.
No, not at least not with the current roster that they have.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%.
It's wild because 2 years ago they lost 28 games in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean really the change has been really JB. Credit to him. I mean, he came in his first year, he took them to the playoffs, and now they're where they are.
Yep.
Yeah, they were not in a good spot. Cade has always been promising, I think, but no, their mindset of whenever you come in here, it's not going to be fun for you. You're going to get beat up. We'll fight you. They've totally bought into that, and it fits their style of play perfectly. So it's a great story. They really bought in, and
For sure.
I think they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs for sure. Dude, what do you do? Like what happened? I mean, I'll give you the timeline. So
We're talking about
Yeah,
the Dallas
in-
Mavericks, by the way.
in
anyone
June
watching
of
this.
2021, they hired Nico Harrison. And then he brought in Jason Kidd. And it felt like for a while there he was doing a lot of right. He was doing a lot right. I mean,
You said you're going to go through the timeline. There is a lot more right than wrong leading up to when it
Yeah.
all went wrong.
so
Continue.
he obviously brings in Kidd. I think that was a win. I think that was a great hire.
Yep. Completely agree.
They make a splash. His first splash is they brought in Christian Wood, which obviously that didn't work, but they tried, right? He tried to do something, tried to help Luka out.
I completely forgot
Yeah.
that Christian Wood existed. That's a name that had just
Yep.
escaped my brain
Yep.
until you just brought it up
Yep.
again. Thank you.
And
for
he
that.
was
Christian
supposed
Wood,
to be the
shout out.
savior, I think. Like, yeah.
Yeah, he was
Um,
too. He was.
Yeah, after they bring in Christian Wood, they get off of Porzingis, and they bring in a couple guys from Washington. So they split up Luka and Porzingis. I think by that time, everyone kind of knew that relationship ran its course. It just didn't work out. After that, they make the deal for Kyrie. And I think that was probably one of the best moves because they got him at a nice deal. He was obviously coming off a lot of his controversy with the Nets, and his just marketplace was not where it's used to being. But Dallas gave him a shot, and they weren't afraid of what could have been a disaster. Because Kyrie, he will put your franchise through it. And they took a shot on him, and it worked out perfectly with Luka. It's the ideal, honestly, player for Luka, and you could see that now with Reeves. But then there was a couple of other really sneaky good moves. Obviously, they draft Lively. They bring in Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. They really just put a nice roster around Luka. They go to the conference finals in 2023, but in 2024 they go all the way to the finals. And up until that point, I'm not sure he made a bad move.
No, I mean, everything that you've just laid out, I think is trending the right direction. I I feel like the perception of Jason Kidd as a head coach, it wasn't necessarily always great in Brooklyn, wasn't always necessarily great in Milwaukee. I feel like he, for the most part, has been a pretty solid NBA head coach. I feel like that has been the case in Dallas. Obviously, the Kyrie trade was a win. That was proven the year after they got him when they make the finals. And just moves around the margins with Washington and Gafford, that kind of rounded out their postseason rotation. Their main guys were Luka, who was there, who was a superstar, Kyrie, who Nico brought there, Lively, who Nico drafted, Washington, Gafford. I mean, those are probably their five best guys from that title run, or run to the finals rather. Then on February 2nd, 2025, all of that goodwill just goes out the door.
Yep. It felt like he got to the finals, they didn't win, and he just started kind of grabbing at stuff. And it's just like, dude, like you've done a great job. You don't need to, like do it all on your own type of a thing. And it happened right away. He brought in Clay. Horrible signing. Turned out to be a horrible signing. And it feels like everything since the finals, it just hasn't gone his way. He's been in a slump. And it's like he tried to make this massive deal to be smarter than everyone, to be like without a doubt the best GM in the league, and he trades Luka, and you just can't do that. You can't.
Can we pause for a second? So the Clay thing obviously didn't work out, but that is not a move that debilitates your franchise.
It's not.
Even great teams are going to swing and miss on signings in the offseason, paying a little too much money to guys who are past their prime.
Yep.
That shit happens. That move, even though it didn't work out, I respect the swing on that, because you're bringing someone in who has championship pedigree. He could space the floor. You probably don't need him, or ideally don't need him to do a whole lot other than just stand there and shoot open shots that Luka creates. Whether that's a win or a loss, that to me that was irrelevant. Trading away a franchise-altering, all-time great offensive player for someone 5 years older than him, who in the 3 seasons leading up to the trade had played in 132 out of 236 games, and then touting the trade as we want dependability and reliability, and Luka didn't give us that, is so ass backward bonkers. It defies all logic.
Yep.
Before we wrap up, could we just go over the new All-Star game format?
Do you want to run us through it? Run us through it. I haven't had a chance to really look at it quite yet.
Okay, so this is a press release from the NBA. As in the past, 24 NBA All-Stars, 12 from each conference, will be selected as follows. And then it just, the 5 players who are starters from each conference, how the voting goes, fans, NBA players, media. And then 7 are picked from each conference as reserves by NBA head coaches. Then it says the process for assigning players to the 2 U.S. teams will be determined at a later date. So basically what's happening here is the NBA knows that they're going to be doing a round-robin style tournament where we're going to have 2 teams of 8 who are U.S.-born players, and then 1 team of 8 with internationally born players. And they'll play each other in 12-minute games, and then the fourth quarter, air quotes, of this all-star game is going to be the 2 teams that either are both 2-0 or both.
No,
I
you're
don't
right.
know what I'm saying. Basically, the 2 teams that emerge from the round robin end up playing each other then in the fourth quarter, aka the championship game of this mini tournament. What I mainly want to talk about is the 8 international players who are going to make up this roster. And what I wonder is, are we like 2 years away from the league just saying, you know what, we're just going to do 12 international players, 12 U.S.-born players, and we're going to call that the All-Star Game? Because really, they could do it this year, and it would be fine. Because if you just start trying to create those rosters, there are 12 very deserving players who were born outside of the United States who could make up an All-Star.
So my first takeaway is I have no idea how you determined who is a U.S. player in this format and who isn't. And my prime example I have here is Karl Anthony Towns was born in America, but he played FIBA basketball for the Dominican Republic. Okay. Kyrie Irving played basketball for FIBA for the United States of America, but he was born in Australia. What are they? What are they? How do you... I guess... Well, I'll get to your question, but I just want... this bugs me. The All-Star Game stuff bugs me. I don't know why we pay so much damn attention to the All-Star Game. Every single year...
Well, now I kind of feel bad
I'm
for bringing
glad
this up
you
as a
did,
topic.
because it's a huge, important topic, and I've got texts about it from my friends. And it's a huge deal. It will be all over TV. Every year around the All-Star Game, it's a yearly let's get around and bag on the NBA because their All-Star Game stinks. Every single All-Star Game stinks. Mm-hmm. Every one. The Pro Bowl is not even a thing anymore. It's flag football. The baseball, they've tried doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's not a game. It's not a game. It is a all-star game. So I just want to say, like, I'm glad that they're messing with it and they're trying to make it as, good of a product as they can. But please do not text me saying how bad the All-Star Game is and why the league's bad now. I don't want to hear it. I think you're stupid, so just don't do it. I'm sorry. But to get back to your...
A very important PSA from Vinney
Zambito. I don't text...
That I'll co-sign. I'll co-sign that.
I don't text you and say, man, the Pro Bowl is awful. Football stinks. Who cares? Literally, I'm pretty sure that, like, the Vikings' backup quarterback made the Pro Bowl one year because, like, everyone else is like, I don't want to play. But anyway, I have a question on the format of how they're going to interpret who is a United States-born player and who is going to play for this international team. Because there are a ton of guys who qualify technically to play for the international team. I almost had a harder time... figuring out who to leave off the international and a harder time just trying to put enough guys on the USA team. Like it's
That's the exact boat I'm in. That's why I think we're 2 years away from just like a even 12-12 split, because the international pool is basically as deep as the Team USA
absolutely. And when you think of like, Amen and Asar Thompson, they're flirting around with the idea of playing for Jamaica. If they're on the international team, like that, you do that right now, right now. So I guess who we'll start with your international team then. I guess who did you pick?
Well, so Giannis, Shea, Jokic, Luka, Wembanyama.
I think those are.
That might be the five best players in the NBA. And by it might be, I mean it is. Those are the five best players in the NBA. Then rounding out their team of 8, I have Markkanen, Giddey, and Şengün, which means we're leaving off Denny Avdia, who is getting no attention in Portland, but he's averaging like 25, 6, and 5 this year. Jamal Murray, who is rounding back into peak Jamal Murray shape. The aforementioned Karl Anthony Towns, who just had 31 points in the first half against Miami 2 nights ago. Franz Wagner, say what you want. Like, it's not a rock solid all-star case, but
I mean, absolutely.
Still,
if it was just broken up East and West, he would 100% be in that voting system. At least.
Absolutely. Then for a really bad and sad Indiana Pacers team, Pascal Siakam's putting up huge numbers. And that doesn't even consider the Thompson twins. And Asar wouldn't be an all-star consideration, but Amen would absolutely be. We don't know where he stands. Paolo technically could be U.S. or Italy. Not sure. But I mean, if we're just comparing starting fives, the international team is clearly superior. Who's the starting five for Team USA at this point? I think is actually the more. And again, how do we split up these 2 teams of 8? Because we're going to end up getting watered down teams because we're making the pool bigger.
Yeah, I mean. First off, yes, the 5 starters on the international team, those are the 5 best players in the league. That team wins. Now what I will say is I don't think you're going to get the best Luka and Jokic, but you will get a strong effort from Wemby, Giannis, and I think even Shea. But Luka and Joker, they're going to be slinging beers in the back, like no doubt. So maybe that's how the U.S. wins, is we just get Luka and we get Joker drunk. I
honestly, at this point, I don't even care about who wins, loses. Like that is irrelevant to me. It's more so the construction of these 2 teams. And like, what does the Team USA?
So I got 6. I just listed 16 guys. I'm sure that there's going to be some guys that I missed, but I just put together 16. I have Steph Curry, Tyrese Maxey, Anthony Edwards, Cade Cunningham, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jalen Johnson, Jalen Duran, Julius Randle, Norman Powell, Austin Reeves, and Paolo, who might be Italy and also isn't having a great year. I guess who else did I miss?
So I just counted my list. I have 19 guys. 16 that you listed were on there. The only 3 that I had were Aaron Gordon, Chet Holmgren, and Stephon
Those
Castle.
are all 3 legit. And Jalen Williams probably would have been on there too if he's healthy.
Yes. Yep. He would have. And, you know,
Tatum.
if we're going down that road,
Yep.
we're missing Halliburton and we're missing Tatum. So this Team USA pool would look better if
Correct.
we weren't missing, you know, Halliburton and Tatum. But yeah, it just is interesting to me, and it's kind of, I felt like it was an important conversation to have because we just got off of our 5th episode of NBA Campfire, where we're talking about the influence of Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki on who is playing basketball at the highest level and how the game of basketball is played. And we're at a point right now where, as we covered in that episode, the last 7 MVPs have been internationally born players. One of whom we don't even mention here because of so many injuries. Like Embiid, 4 years ago, was the MVP of the league and putting up absolutely ridiculous numbers for Philadelphia. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting that, you know, we're making this transition to a new format for the All-Star game, which they've tried so many different things over the last 7-8 years. And again, it doesn't matter. But I do think the fact that we're in a position where we could theoretically have just an international team and a USA team that are totally even across the board, if not an edge to the international team, that speaks volumes about just the way that the NBA is trending and the health of the game of basketball worldwide, not just here in the United States.
Yeah, and I'm probably gonna sound stupid here, but I'm gonna go for it. There's something wrong with.
He takes the glasses off to make this
There's
point.
something wrong with our grassroots basketball system. There has to be, because when you look at the top 5 players in the league, it's clearly the 5 international players. It's Shea, it's Wemby, it's Luka, it's Joker, and it's Giannis. For the most part, Luka is kind of the exception. I know Wemby had a blood clot. It seems like European players play a little bit more. They're more reliable. It seems like they play like with a winning style. The gap is growing. Like I don't even know if who is our best that we could even compare to those 5. Like, why Steph? But he's old. Like, our best.
It's probably Steph. In all honesty,
I just feel like,
you know, unless we're like really sold on the Maxey season, which he's just been excellent this year. You know, you could talk yourself into Mitchell, Brunson, maybe Cade.
but those guys aren't different. Like, I feel like all five of those international players, they're different, and like we don't have a different player.
That's I think the biggest difference between the internationally born players and the players from the U.S. And I don't know if it is like AAU basketball just kind of getting every player to play the same way. But if you look at the 8 guys who I had on the international roster projected for this year, the All-Star game, every single one of them plays the game differently from the next guy. Like, Giannis is a completely different player than Shea. And obviously they're different positions. They have different bodies. But both of those two are unique compared to everyone else in the league. Jokic is a center, but he plays completely different than Wemby, Giddy and Luka are ball dominant guards,
Right.
but they play different. For the most part, Mitchell and Booker and Cade and Maxey
Yeah.
all kind of play the same way. I think it's just that and I don't know why it is, but it just seems like there is more. I don't know what the word would be. Um, I guess just like players come into the league with a little bit more
Yeah.
unique
It's
of a
like
skill set. I
feel like
think
they
that's the
play
best
to
way I
their
could describe it.
strengths more. Where like in USA, you have to be a certain style of player. You're not going to make it. You basically have to be a combo guard or a wing who could handle, or you're not going to make it. You have to create your own shot. You have to be a good shooter. And it feels like everyone is just kind of funneling to that style of player where, like, I don't know. If Giannis grew up in America, would we have been forcing him to shoot a bunch of threes? And I'm not sitting here trying to to criticize where basketball is today. It's more of just like the European, not even just Europe, but the international game is so strong right now that maybe we need, as America, we need to look around and be like, okay, we're not the top anymore. Maybe we need to kind of see what other people are doing.
So, from what I hear, you're saying we need to make America great again. I'm baiting you.
How about that Bears game? No, I didn't say that. I did not say that. We need to get America in a spot where we're the best basketball country in the world. I don't. That was. But I think we probably could honestly cut after you say, "So make America great again." That was perfect.
I kind of, I was, when you weren't coming back right away, I was actually kind of, I was almost tempted to call you and be like, honestly, if you just want to end here
Yeah, that
and we
was
could
perfect.
roll right into end credits like that would be fine.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. That was
Okay.
that was so funny. I was like that.